How's everybody?
Good morning.
So first off, I just want to thank everybody for coming in and listening to our little Q&A, little session here. I know there's a lot of things going on right now at SEAA. Man, this show, I went to the first one, and I can't remember when it was too early, it was a long time ago. There was maybe 100 people here, and now it just keeps growing every year. It's amazing how well they've done. And I also want to thank the Southeast Choirs Committee for awarding us this breakout room to talk about what we are so passionate about, which is the AI, taking it to very practical use. I have to say that we're very honored. They awarded us with air conditioning as well, so we have to perform to make sure we get that.
Yeah.
Good. Before we get into the discussion, I have a couple questions for everybody. Who here thinks they are an expert in AI? Raise your hand. Alan? I know Alan Kopelman, he's an expert in AI. Back there, great. You two, you talk to Riz. He's the only expert on this panel. Okay, that's Riz down there. And he'll talk last. What we're talking about is we have a passion here at Cygnus to bring AI to make merchants' lives easier. Second question. Who here uses AI every single day? Yeah, everybody. Isn't this amazing? ChatGPT, all this stuff out there. I used to write the worst emails. Now I put it in AI and I sound like a genius. and so it's already making our life easier, but it is scary because we don't know what the future holds. It is intimidating because it's the unknown. I heard a good story on the radio yesterday that was talking about the changes that are going to come from AI. And it said, yeah, people are going to lose their jobs. People that had yellow pages don't have a job anymore. That was a huge industry back in the late 90s, right? It's gone with the advance of the internet. So we embrace change, the change at Cygnus, and we want to be an early adopter, and you all are already if you're using AI in your everyday life. So how is it going to make it easy? So I'm an old salesperson, like all of you, and I believe that stories communicate. So I want to tell you a little story. My grandson Gavin, 14 years old, who caused this, by the way. So, we were out working in the yard one day, but he's around my house a lot, and he hears me on conference calls, and I'm on a conference call every day from 10 to 11. And we're doing development on Compass Center, our new POS. And he asked me one day, he said, Papa, why are you so passionate about AI? It's so simple. I was like, I thought for a second, and I harkened back, so I'm going to devolve just a little bit more. My dad turns 90 next week. Woo, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right? Very active man, very, very young. When he was born in 1935, there were two forms of mass communication. Two. Does anybody know what they are?
Mail.
Mail?
Telegraph.
I'm not that old. Newspapers and radio. Newspapers and radio. And the radio was only AM. Didn't even have FM. If there was a phone, he never had a phone in his home until he was a teenager. It was a community phone that was down on the corner store that anybody could use. Now that same 90-year-old man walks around with an iPhone in his pocket, dictates letters to his sister and his brother every morning, makes his doctor's appointment, does his banking, and oh, by the way, goes to exercise and listens to old Johnny Cash and beers while he's walking around the track. So I thought, if just new mass communication, internet, all the other things, if that just came along in his lifetime, where is AI going to take us? Where is this new technology going to take us? And I will be here in 100 years to see where that technology led us, but I am passionate about it making a difference in everybody's life right now, especially for our merchants and their customers. So that's what we are trying to accomplish. And I am really lucky to work with a lot of passionate people in the AI space. And I want to introduce our panel real quick. First is Ali Mahmood, who is our founder. I call him our visionary in chief. And then also our executive director of RITS, because he wants to make sure the money stays where it's supposed to be. And then we got Brad Davidson, who is the best business development manager I've ever seen in my life. He started this industry 2 years ago, and he knows more than me. He is a genius when it comes to POS. He does have a CIS degree, so he is passionate about both selling and the product and AI. And then Rizhan is our executive director of global operations. We have an overseas operation. He ties both companies together. Make sure the technology works, the DevOps is in his domain, and he runs a really efficient force and it ties everything in the US, so we brought him here. So, again, we thank you for being here. So we're just gonna jump into the panel. I think there's some more seats if you guys wanna come in. There's seats up here in the front, in the middle. I guess you guys have a couple. Okay, good. So just wanna start with a few questions and I'm gonna take a seat while we're doing that. All right, so Mr. Ali Mahmoud, we're gonna start with you, sir. Can everybody hear me okay? I got you. That means he's fine, so. Yeah, we got a whole lot. All right. So Ali, first question for you. Is it on? I think it's on. Yeah.
Can everybody hear?
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
All right, so Ali, where do you see AI heading in the payment space?
All right, first of all, I'm not a good public speaker, FYI, I don't know a lot about AI. I was initially very skeptical of AI. I thought it was just fluff. A lot of people talk about AI. But once I started using the applications of AI, not me personally, but my son, he plays Fortnite, right? So we do ChatGPT, and he was he wanted to go, there's several seasons in Fortnite. He's like, let's find out, right? What's the next step in a gameplay or something like that? So he found out the answer for it. It's 7 or 8. So I was like, wow, this can do a lot of things. Otherwise I'll have to sit with him for about hours to go to different gameplays, go on YouTube, look at stuff, right? So this was actually pretty cool stuff. So then my team, they were just all about AI. I was like, guys, let's not waste money. So we went out, we found third-party developers, they were charging arm and a leg for it, right? But actually, apparently it was not that hard, In my opinion, when it comes to AI, the major players are already utilizing AI in day-to-day business, in customer service, and loyalty marketing, etc., and all that, right? But for us, we are all ISO native and stuff like that. I think in my thought process, it'll just be easy for us to develop the same big tools that the big players let's say POS is not here, right? They've done an amazing job, right? There's some other players like Alien, they're using AI right now. You guys can all use that same solution as well, right? For people, it will just basically streamline transactions, monitor fraud, and also the best thing is it will create a personalized experience for the end user. For example, a customer comes into your business, if you have a point of sale solution or whatever you have, right? Or smart customer, right? Insert the card in there, it would know what the trends are for that particular customer, right? By looking at, the last one of the car or something like that. And the customer will be able to enjoy that experience. It'll be let's say if you're in a coffee shop, the customer gets Caramel Macchiato, which I'm getting right now, but the machine would know as soon as the card is inserted, as soon as the customer comes in, what the customer does in real time, right? So that's the benefits of AI, in my opinion, right? Major providers will be using it, and in my opinion, I think that's the way to go for everybody else too. We want to get into AI, we want to see what, tools AI offers. It's actually pretty cool, right? You can do a very, even a complicated task is handled very, very quickly. If you're on the road or whatever it is, and so I'm pretty excited about AI. I think it's going to really impact, maybe not right now, but in 2-3 years, it will definitely impact the business.
All right, can you keep you on the spot? What kind of pain points do you see in the adoption of AI?
I think it's the technology piece first, going to go from my own experience, our own experience, we went with a third party, individual. It was pretty expensive, they offered us, hey, we'll do this for you. What's that thing called? Okay, LLM, right? So any one script for LLM, again, I don't know much about AI. It was $100,000, right? That was But now you can use, I mean, there's one probably knows more about it than I do about it, but now you can build it, I believe you can have your own server and get couple of developers, I think, you know, and they can kind of, even if they're not AI experts, they can do a lot of stuff, right? And like basic stuff, I'm not talking about complicated stuff like, you know, image capture via AI, not that stuff, like basic stuff that we all can utilize in our daily lives. One of the things that I think I like once you guys have done with the app, I'd like to incorporate that into our business model as well. For example, one of our payment providers was charging us like $20 for PCM compliance fee on all our portfolio. We don't check, nobody checks, right? If you had an AI tool built with it, it will be able to figure out what, okay, these accounts should be, like the average account probably $200, why is $180, right? But after a couple of months, we figured it out. Our sales was like, why am I losing money on an account, right? Then we start digging into it to spend like countless hours to check. And then we were like, oh, then we call a process and like, what are you guys doing, right? And they're like, oh yeah, we'll be funding the money. So these things will help us with AI, you know? You pull your residual report onto a AI tool, I don't know how that works, but you run that script, it will tell you, hey, this is the anomalies I see in your reporting, right? And then you can take action accordingly. And I think one of the other things is like in loyalty marketing, I think it'll be a really cool thing. You know, if you work with any of these providers, like, you know, not the main ones, but the smaller ones, I think if you can enable an AI script onto it, I think it'll be able to better help, it'll enhance the experience for the customer. You know, just like a big player like a POS or Indian would do, you can do that yourselves too, like depends on how, you know, what software you develop or whatever tool you use right now. So that's generally my response.
All right, awesome. So one thing you always like to talk about is the advancements in AI, customer service and everything else. And you always give the example of a pizza shop that calls you at 11:30 at night where, you know, their system's gone down or everything. How can you see AI affecting that type of situation in the future?
Steve, I'm old school. I'm the guy, somebody calls me at 10:30 at night, I'm picking up the phone and resolving the issue, you know. But I think in certain instances, the AI tool can actually help, like with basic customer support issues. Let's say they want to add something and the machine is frozen or something, whatever the reason will be, that customer will be able to handle that situation, right? And we also have to understand that too. Our generation is getting older, right? And before I could party till 2, 3 a.m. and wake up at 8, now I can do that. Like I was in bed at 10. Like, you know, like, I mean, as soon as you get older, you realize, and my kids are, like Lou Armstrong said, you know, my kids will will know much more than I ever know, right? So the new gen, like the 20s and 30s people, you talk to your office people, like a task that takes me about a day to do, they're done in a day, right? So they're much more intelligent than, or they're much more adaptable of the technology than I am, right? So the new gen of business owners will like you know, good stuff, right? I'll give you a good example. Like when we lost a client, we had a legacy point of sale system, big chain. He liked Square because it had cool features, like, you know, you can do his payroll there, you can get insurance there, blah blah blah, whatever, right? So the new gen will be more adapt to AI. Like my son, he just goes on my phone and starts doing chat GPT, asks questions, and he shows off to his friends. So I think for the new gen, AI will be a major thing. I mean, of course, there's about a $200 billion valuation in the an IC for AI and AI-related companies. It's going to go over to $1 trillion in the next few years, right? So I mean, there's something there. Like Google is into AI, Meta is into AI, Amazon is going into AI, like ChatGPT, Microsoft. So there's definitely something there. So we just need to be on point with it.
All right. So that was really good. Thank you. What I want to do next is kind of paint a picture of where we you know, there's other products out there, there's other companies out there that are rushing the market with the POS with AI like we are. But where do we think it's going? So I just wanted to kind of give a snapshot of what we envision life in the day for a restaurant person would look like with AI, with Compass AI as their assistant. Okay, think of AI. And does anybody know what percent of business owners are college educated? Does anybody have an idea?
Right, 10%.
It's 17%. That's exactly correct. It's 17%. 17%. How do you think that, do you think they ever made doubt that they're getting the right answers and doing the right things? No, they work very, very hard, right? And they overcome whatever lack of education with common sense and hard work and grit and whatever, and that's fantastic. But there's always doubt. What can I do better? What do I know? What don't I know that a competitor doesn't know? And there's always that doubt that drives them. So I look at AI as like that companion where I'm the expert in how to run my restaurant, but I could use some help. I could use, a data engineer to figure out where my competitive advantages are, so on and so forth. So I kind of just wrote something down here as kind of a vision of the life in the AI, merchant with AI, with our Compass AI in the future. So when the business owner gets there early in the morning, like always, Compass AI will already analyze yesterday's sales trends. They will be able to tell you that your brisket inventory is running low and you need to reorder. It will be able to tell you that suggest a lunch special based on overstocked items in their inventory. It will be able to flag a spike in refunds from one employee in case there's some fraud going on. They can justify that. It can also do things like, hey, you're short on back of the house help from 12 to 2. Would you like me to call in Jenny, who lives 2 miles from here and she's available? I mean, these are the things that AI can solve. Kitchen display systems are prioritizing orders and letting know things like allergies, food allergies, etc. for the customer. Loyalty rewards, as Ali just mentioned, will be automatically applied, not some type of Frankenstein thing where you're punching this in and punching that in to get to the reward. And at the end of the day, you don't have to dig through reports. You can do this with ours now. You can just speak to it and say, hey Compass, tell me what my sales were yesterday, what was my hottest selling item. In the future, not too far from now, hopefully by December 31st, we will also understand what the competitive market says. So if I live in Chattanooga, so if I'm in Chattanooga and I want to increase my sales, I could say, hey, what are the hottest selling menu items in the Chattanooga market? What do I need? Give me a menu for it. Give me a recipe for it. Give me some pictures for it, which will have stock images on Compass. But everything is done through AI, and this will do a thing. Another thing we're going to do is have electronic QR codes that can rotate, so they'll all be AI driven. So if it's hot outside, come up there, the QR code will come up for the menu, but then you'll see a picture of a cold drink if it's hot outside. If it's cold outside, you'll see a warm drink, so on and so forth. We see in the future where you'll come in and you'll have a waiter station that's electronic and digital and lighted, and and it's all driven by Compass AI, and it's connected to Compass AI. Your wait list goes on there, so you have that wait list that just shows and flashes and signs. And oh, by the way, on the right-hand side of the wait, by the way, we've already developed this, and we're waiting for it to come in from China. On the right-hand side, you would have things on there like advertisements that the merchant can actually sell to local businesses. And how many people have gone to like a local restaurant and they got the business cards still all, laminated on the table? This will be able to do that, right? So you'll be able to, that guy can sell local advertising in his market, but also the signage will be out here and it's all connected to AI and all reacts to the weather. Eventually, what we're gonna see is if you return to the location, and this is probably a year out in scope, but when you turn to the location, AI will recognize you, realize what your previous orders were, understand if you have a food allergy, and do all these things and suggest menu items based on your prior purchases. Or maybe suggest appetizers to up stuff. So not only is it going to be a business manager, it's going to be a sales assistant, it's going to help train your employees, it's going to do everything to make your life easier. I saw a video, and I can't remember, I told mine that I think it was in Thailand. But it's a fast food restaurant that does burgers, basically, and there's one employee. And that employee's only job is to make sure the AI machines don't lose power. That's it. Everything is done from a kiosk. Here's the order. Here's the specifications for this order. It comes through a conveyor belt, makes the burger, fries it, comes out on the other end, fries, burger, drink, all packaged up on the thing, ready to go. I feel like that's where QSR is gonna be in probably the next 5 to 7 years. Because of the problem of hiring people in that space, right? I mean, they're talking about paying education, they're closing, you see out in the West Coast, $20 an hour, they're closing their doors because they can't compete anymore. What AI will do is make them to come back and be able to compete in the marketplace. You're gonna see an explosion in the QSR space, and we developed QSR first because we feel that is the first huge opportunity to go to a complete AI system with all the ancillary products included. We are working on a full set of ancillary products as well. So with that, I'm gonna move on and ask Brad a couple questions now. You ready, Brad? All right. So, Brad, being the business development guy with our Elevate partners, tell us how you feel AI is going to give our Elevate partners a competitive advantage.
Every deal starts with a conversation. And, one of the hardest things to do is have that conversation and transition into a sales pitch, right? Whether it's an elevator pitch or regardless of how you get there, I always found it very uncomfortable, a little bit awkward when you're in a merchant's place of business, you're having that conversation with them, and then it gets to the point where they're like, yeah, this guy's here to sell me something, right? So I think having AI in your arsenal as a salesperson is going to be very powerful. Steve, you spoke to it earlier. I mean, you can have a conversation about AI with anyone from age 8 to 80, right? And you don't have to be an expert. You just have to have an opinion. So I think that's pretty powerful in conversation. I think plenty of merchants are more than willing to talk about it. Some maybe not. Like you said, it is a little bit scary. They might think that AI will run their business into the ground. So, which is, I guess, always a possibility. But the conversations will get an agent. Most importantly, the leverage to have a conversation about value. We're all in an industry where it's a race to zero, and it allows you to completely eliminate any conversation about rates and how low you can get rates, right? It's like, what is the solution for your business that's helping you to run your business?
Okay, great. So what specific pain points in your conversations with both Elevate partners and merchants have you heard?
So I spoke with an agent the other day in Charlotte, maybe Raleigh, North Carolina. She told me she was discouraged, and I could hear it in her voice. She's just like, look, why do the merchants like Square? Or why do they have Square? And she was confused, honestly. So, I think that it gives you the opportunity to go in and have a different conversation with the merchant. And especially when you've got these companies out there that are spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on SEO, and their name is in front of every single business owner out there. Every time they pull up, Google or their browser, they're seeing Square, right, or they're seeing Toast. So it allows you to kind of get around that, because, like I said, I mean, the conversation about AI, I think it is arguably the most popular term in the world right now. And so when you say artificial intelligence, you say AI, ears perk up. There's some curiosity, definitely some interest that gets piqued when you bring that up in conversation.
Okay. And then last question for you today, Brad. What about customer engagement, merchant engagement? How's that changing when you have that conversation?
I think it's going to be amazing. The way I see it is personalized loyalty. I mean, just personally targeted to every single customer, right? I see it working like this. If I go into a store and purchases over the past year, then I would see the AI analyzing those purchases and offering me something, right, the next time I come in based off of those purchases. So, you know, whether it's a retail store, a restaurant, you know, hey, this guy gets a beer every other time he comes in, right? So it allows you to send out emails, text messages. Personally, that guy, hey, there's 2 for 1 beer tonight. I'll probably show up for it, right? All personal, all to every single customer. You can reach out to them. It doesn't have to be just a general promotion that won't speak to everyone. Every promotion will speak to the customer personally.
Very good. Can I tell you this?
Yeah, please.
So, when I used to own a pizza restaurant, we were struggling back then, never had money, you know, I don't know how we survived, never had money for payroll, never had money for anything like that back in the day, right? So, one thing that I think what a lot of people invent is Square, right? A lot of people like Square is because on their dashboard, and Clover has a sales solution, but it's a cash advance program, but Square also has a cash advance program, but it's very cheap, right? If you need the money, let's say if you're payroll on Friday, if you need the money, you can take the advance from it. What I can take from AI is this, that the AI tool can probably, if you have a good tool, no matter what your point of sale system is, right? You can actually look at the batches and basically, if a merchant needs money, you can assign a line of credit, and just like you can go buy a big purchase and your credit card tells you, hey, you want to do what is it, 500, 800 kind of thing, right? So you can do that, right? And you can offer the merchant the same thing too. I'm not saying we have it right now, but that would be a good tool to compete with the base rate like Square or POS. Like when the merchant needs the money, especially in the restaurant space, if you can give them the money, of course there'll be interest payments and then somebody has to finance that as well. But that would be actually, in my opinion, a very good way for merchants to, for us, especially the ISO agents, to like feed merchants away from Square or POS or something like that and bring them to us, no matter who your provider is.
So, one thing that, why we went on this journey is kind of interesting. Alan, I'm not trying to take away from your talk at 3:30 today, and I encourage anybody who's an agent, independent agent, to go see Alan's talk at 3:30 because he's right. We were at a conference, bank conference, it was December 23, November, somewhere in there, I can't remember. At any rate, we heard one of the two people stand up, the global chief strategy officer for one of the big boys, and then one of the card brand chief strategy officers got up on stage together to speak at this bank conference. And they basically told us at that conference they were trying to eliminate us. They basically said that right out in the open. There was a slide that we weren't supposed to see, and it said elimination of this type of thing. I remember when I was in this industry, the invention of the cloud in 2009, and I went over to a seminar, and I said, POS is gonna, just explode. It's just gonna go crazy. And so when I was with the company at that time, we went down that angle and started working with different POS companies. What we figured out is if you do not have an embedded payment system, and Alan's got a word for it, you can't do standalone processing anymore. That's dying. It's still necessary, but it is dying. And if there's not an option to sell a product with the embedded payment, there's no need for us. So we'll take questions at the end. Am I right though, Alan?
I wanted to add something to what you're saying, the proof point.
Okay, give us a quick point, Alan.
Okay, so I walked through the room this morning, there's 136 booths.
Yes.
72 have POS systems.
There you go. Half.
30%. I've been coming to this show for 25 years, okay, since 2001. I have never seen so many point of sale systems in my life. Okay, but one thing.
Alan, we have 1 minute.
1
minute. He will take over the entire
Find
conference.
out what I have to say about that. You gotta come back at 3:30.
Thank you, Alan.
But there's definitely a movement in this business, and either you're gonna move and you're gonna sell a product, you cannot no longer just sell processing. You can't.
So we took it upon ourselves to figure out what we needed to do, and we needed to switch from being a processing company to a fintech company. And we knew at this time, so in the meantime, we went out and negotiated agreements with 7 different POS providers. And we carried as well. But we negotiated with these folks to hit certain verticals that we are very adept in. But at the same time, we knew we had to develop our own. And then, as they kind of said, I was insistent that we had to have AI. I was like, if we're gonna build a POS, you can't do it without AI. And then a lot of things happened that everything was advertised as open source, get on the wagon train. So instead of spending literally $40,000 to $60,000 to $80,000 per wireframe, we knew that we could develop it on our own. And Riz is gonna talk about this development. But we're not gonna stop with just Compass. We're gonna develop an entire tech stack over a period of time using AI. So once we know how to use it, and we learn how to use it, then we can develop it out to its full capacity. I encourage every one of you, if you're selling standalone processing, there's still a need for it right now. But as Alan said, in 2001, the only Windows-based POS was Laureate, and they controlled the kingdom. That was it. I mean, I used to sell with those guys, they'd get 300 bids, and they wouldn't let anybody else give you a bar sheet, nothing. You couldn't sell their product anyway. It was the most convoluted system. You had to make friends with them and give them kickbacks and everything else, right? Or residuals and everything else. Now it's not like that. Now all they want to do is sell their product. Partner with people that have good technology, whoever you decide it might be, and make sure you stay alive in this industry because it is going away. This standalone, what do you call the standalone processing?
No, but I read an article in the Greek sheet. I don't know if everybody reads, but I have a column called Street Smart. I wrote a few articles, but one of the most important ones is software is the new ISO. Now, if you're not working with ISOs that have their own tech, not rented tech, not they resell this, that, and the other, have their own tech, you're not going to last. You have to partner with people who have their own tech.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about Compass, but I'm going to bring up Riz to do that. This is where our journey is leading us, right? To provide an AI-driven POS. In its infancy, it's not ready for prime time yet. We're just announcing it here. It's actually going into beta the second Riz gets back home. We're going to ship out our beta to merchants, and we're going to start testing it and get feedback. Also, I would like to encourage everybody to stop by our booth. We have a web form where you can take a QR code and then give us your input after you play with it. We've got tablets. We've got enough for 10 people to play with at the same time. Okay, so if you come in and play with it and give us your feedback, we'll try to incorporate the most common feedback into our development and make sure it's something that everybody can use, because we want this POS to be developed by both merchants in the beta, but also the sales agents, our Elevate partners, etc. We want feedback from everybody. And we want to make this the most user-friendly, intuitive pods on the market that compete with Toast, that compete with Lightspeeds, that can compete with these folks and give you guys an advantage. And so that's why we developed this. Again, it's not fully developed. We're going QSR vertical first. We'll be completely all levels of restaurant ready by the end of the year. And then we're going to go down a couple different development paths from there for verticalization. So Riz, you guys come up, and then we're going to do Q&A after. So Riz, you got 7 minutes. Sorry. We're a little bit behind schedule because I gave 2 of your minutes to Alan. You can go talk to him after. Sorry.
That's appreciate it. You can use 2 of his minutes as the
Yeah. We'll go to your
Thank you very much. So if you're always thinking, okay, that all sounds great, how do I actually use artificial intelligence in my business, in my domain? But that's my part. We at Cygnus thought there was a gap in the industry where artificial intelligence wasn't used properly to enhance functionality of POS systems. So we've developed a system which is AI-driven, which uses the features and benefits that AI provides you. And the system we developed is called Compass POS. So Compass POS says where everything you heard from Steve, Ali, and Brad comes together in a one compact system, and it runs across a whole gamut of tools and gives you insights and focused reporting on exactly what you're looking for. So let's get practical. I'm going to walk you through Compass POS, show you its features, and tell you how it solves problems for businesses. The vertical we're focusing right now is restaurants, and let me show you the tools that we've developed. So, real-time business intelligence platform, that's what it is. It gives you actionable insight for your daily sales, weekly sales, monthly sales, all accessible through your cell phone, your tablet, the POS system that's sitting in your restaurant. So you're driving, you want to know how many pizzas I sold today, you pick up your cell phone, you open our app, and you just ask it, how many pizzas did I sell today? What were my sales this month? How would my sales for this month compare with my sales for last month, last 6 months? All the information that you want, you don't have to sift through various pieces of information, various reports to get to the number you're looking for. You just ask your cell phone, like, how many burgers did I sell today? Instantly you have that answer. So here is actually what our AI screen looks like. So you don't even have to type in it anymore. You just click on the mic and you ask it, what were my monthly sales? What were my yearly sales? Sales today. Any number you want, numerical analysis you want, you just talk to it, it's going to give you that answer. Advanced time-based performance. So you can ask it hourly reports, like which is like the peak hour of sale for my restaurant. How many burgers did I sell during that peak hour? You can optimize your staffing arrangements around those hours. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. So your every weekly, hourly, monthly report sales are just a little text message away or voice message away from your system. AI-driven menu optimization. So it tells you what your most profitable items were, how many of each items did you sell, actual sales, and it suggests you the best pricing points for each one of those items. So you can ask it, how can I increase revenue for the restaurant? So it's going to tell you, you can reduce the price of your loaded fries for $1 or $2, and it's going to increase the sale for ancillary products. So your burger sales will go up, your other products sales will go up. So it gives you suggestive input on how you can increase revenue sales to your restaurant. Customer support, very important area. You normally have to call our customer support and ask for problems that you're running into. It's already built into our AI component. So you can just ask it questions like here, I ask it, how do I split payments in my POS? How do I manage payments if credit card is declined? And how do I inventory items? So you can just ask it, these are just a few examples, any technical questions that you have, you can just ask it and it's going to give you an answer straight up. So it saves time, you don't have to go through a calling queue and have to customer support. You have access to customer support paired with it. Our system is designed to work on your Android cell phone, on a tablet that's sitting in your house, 5-year-old tablet, 4-year-old tablet. You can use that tablet for your servers to take orders from customers. You can have it as a self-ordering kiosk. You already developed that. You can have it as a kiosk system for your restaurant if you want to buy expensive hardware. But of course, we have a whole suite of hardware we offer. But it makes good use of the legacy hardware you already have in your house. Multi-sale channels intelligence. So when you get Compass POS, it comes with the online ordering suite already built in. QR code system for your tabletop. So you scan the QR code, menu comes up. You set up the menu from our admin area. We call it the bridge. So when you set up your menu, it's already dynamically set up for your online sales, for your QR codes which are sitting on your table. And AI would give you insights into which items are selling best, how you should lay out your menu, which items are doing best that you should be running specials on, and promote for your specials that you're running. You know, restaurants run on a very narrow margin. So the profit margins are razor thin. So our AI gives you access to all of your inventory items, the items that you're running low on, the items that you overstock. So it gives you a report. You can ask it, how many items am I running low on? It's going to give you precisely that report, and it's going to ask you, do you want me to go ahead and place an order with you? So dynamically, it's going to get you inventory, and if you're overstocking on anything, it will guide you, these are the items you're overstocking on. supplier price analysis. If you have multiple suppliers set up in our system, it's gonna tell you who's giving you the best price for say cheese or bread or any item you have, and then only order from that supplier. So you are operating at a best operating model. Workforce optimization. So these are actual, the demo is actual screens for our AI component. So you can ask the system, who's my best performing employee? What were their sales count, total sales for this week, last week? And then what are the busy times of the restaurant and how should I schedule the shifting? You know, setting up shifts for your business in a particular task, it's gonna do that for you. You can ask it, like, what time of the day would I need 2 resources, 3 resources gonna guide you? And then you can ask it to do a shift arrangement, shift scheduling for your staff. So you have that tool built in.
So you mean that, has anybody ever talked to the restaurant owner, their biggest pain in the butt is doing the schedule every week? This can do the schedule for everybody. They put their requests in there, they hit a button, there's your schedule.
And then every day tells you who your star employee is, how many sales they made, so you give them incentives, and those who are low performing, you can identify them and give them incentives to improve it.
Hey, let's hope the features coming soon, let them come by the booth.
Sure, you have a whole bunch of features, we can guide you at the booth.
Yeah, we got 7 minutes left, we want to open up the Q&A, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, so please come to our booth and we lead you a demo of our TS. Thank you so much.
All right, just one quick thing, and then we'll get to Q&A for anybody who has questions for us. Has everybody noticed that we kind of got an opera theme going on? Compass, bridge. Cygnus is the constellation of stars that you use for navigation in Asian areas. So that's why Cygnus payments is everything. So with that, I think they've got a microphone up here. If anybody, or if you want to just shout out any questions, raise your hand. Alan, I'll go to you next. Yes, sir.
Hi there. Thank you for this wonderful speech that you guys gave. You guys spoke a lot about AI. I think that definitely you guys are hitting the head on everything that you're saying. But there's one concern in terms of like customer privacy, right? How are you guys addressing that? How are you guys thinking about that? Because obviously we would want to have, as a merchant, we would want to have a one-to-one relationship with our restaurant customers, right? But then there's a privacy thing that kind of like scares you away. So I was wondering how you guys are thinking about that as you're developing this.
Are you talking about merchant privacy or consumer privacy?
Consumer privacy, yeah. You sell that as an added benefit to do the marketing platform, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a point where it's like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I enjoy the messaging, but this is way too.
Right. There'll always be opt-outs. Everything will be automatically assumed in because it provides a better user experience, right? What our long-term goal is, in just think maybe 3 to 5 years from now, sitting at 10,000 merchants, and then we're going to develop, Riz can talk to this, but we're going to develop a super app, right? So in that super app, they can download it in there, and then they can see every restaurant listed with Compass in their area that has Compass. So then they go in there, and they're already part of the Compass team. They can walk in there, pre-order the venues on there, everything's there. So when they walk in the door, Compass is driving them in the door. That's the long-term strategy to accomplish that culture. So as far as the privacy though, we're going to say you're opted in until you choose to get out, but we're going to give you plenty of choices along the way.
Yeah, that's a really great question too. I think all the systems right now, consumers are given email, phone number, name, right? The system itself is still looking at their purchase history, keeping track of it. But I think AI is just going to be able to target that purchase history individually, right? So I think in terms of privacy, in the loyalty regard, there's not that big of a concern with it at this point. But the AI is just going to be able to target it and say, hey, we know this is what you like, and we want to offer you a promo.
But we have the ability to take pictures of each customer coming in for the privacy concerns. We're not going to do that. But the system has the capability if you want to do it. But since our company does not want to infringe on privacy of our customers, we're not going to do that. It depends what the company's policies are, what the merchant's policies are. Merchant can assign the system to not do too much with customer data, which is already with the merchant. So he already has that data. It's not like it's extra new data that's coming in AI which wasn't there before.
Yeah.
But you can really streamline it and, you know, put a check on what you want and not what the system will do. Cygnus as a policy takes, you know, customer security, privacy as a paramount importance. So there are certain things which we as a company will not do.
Thank you.
I want to make one more mention also. Coming from the QSR, you said something that's very important. The bigger companies, the bigger QSR franchises are not using AI because there's a lot of this, you know, red tape. So for those of us who are competing in the space where it's smaller QSRs, definitely AI is advantage because we can turn this around quicker than those. I've worked with the bigger companies, and there's always a lot of friction between franchisees and franchisors. So I think that this is the way to gain that space, and that's why you see so many POS companies out here.
Thank you.
Can I respond to that?
Hey, I think we got some more.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so, yes, sir.
Just one simple question, is this platform multilingual, so if I have a Latin restaurant as opposed to a Vietnamese restaurant as opposed to a Hispanic restaurant, especially where we're at Northeast Ohio, we deal with some people that really don't speak much English, and
What's up?
I've seen some other.
I was raised in Maumee, I'll talk to you later, but
That's the beauty of AI. You can have 24 languages within Chinese, Korean, Arabic. You tested them out, but we don't want to launch it right now because we still have to do a lot of testing because there's nuances around accents and around certain meanings for words which violate our company policy in some cases. So that's a lot of, you know, some words don't come out right. So there's a lot of testing involved, but absolutely if we want to do it next month, we can launch it in 4 different languages. It's going to take care of it. But there's some complications there where we don't want to have it, you know, give out wrong impressions for some sentences.
so we're working on it, we should have it by the time it launches. Okay, Alan, go ahead.
What he was talking about with like, you know, getting the customer information. I think probably a lot of people in this room, you know, you go on the website and then all of a sudden you get a creepy email. Hey, I see you were on my website. And even from restaurants, like you go in, especially like Toast, Square, if you want a text receipt, they have your, you don't even, then you go into another Toast merchant, and you don't even give them your phone number, they still text you the receipt.
Yeah.
They're sharing your information across their entire network. I don't really agree with that, and it's definitely not good, but like you were showing the reporting, can that also be automated? So you put in like, oh, I want these 10 reports every morning, boom, they're dropping.
It's already done. So when you open our AI suite, the most common reports are just a button away. They're already laid out.
No, but can you get them?
Yeah, you can create your own as well.
Yeah, but can you get it just emailed to you?
Of course.
We're working on the email capability, just like ChatGPT doesn't have email capability yet, we're working through that.
It's also
Okay, yes, sir?
Quick question. For your customer service, your tech support,
Yes.
do you anticipate a AI speaking to your customer live? When will it not sound like a robot?
You know, I love that question because I hate that one robot voice. Hey, everybody. I hate that guy. 1970s used car commercial. We're working with the different voice inflections and so on. I think we finally solved something that's kind of mellow and soothing when you hear it. So we're building out a YouTube channel that has all for people who like to go YouTube training, but we're also going to create a university. And I haven't told you this, but we're going to create a Cygnus Compass University where you can just go in there and learn. But the point is, we're going to use the AI voice, but we're really working to modify it. So, I hate that. If I hear that voice one more time on X, I'm just going to blow up my
Okay, 2 minutes.
All right, we got 2 minutes. Yes, sir?
Does it help like inventory and ordering?
Yes, so it will do.
It's already doing that. It will tell you, you can set up alerts when you go on inventory. It's going to highlight those items. It can send out emails to your suppliers for ordering. And if they have API integrations, we can even do that for you. We can automate the ordering process API based with your suppliers.
I can add one thing for customer service. We will always have people for customer service. I don't like if I'm calling the bank or something and there's a robot talking to me, I hate that. It pisses me off even more, right? it had to be an Uber. I canceled an Uber account because it was a robot talking to me, right? So I personally don't like being talked by robots, so I would never, we would never want to do that. But it just, AI will always do is like basic questions. It's right in front of you on the AI, right? It's not like we call the phone. I mean, maybe they have different plans, but me, I would probably never.
We'll always have human backup for sure. Any other questions? One last question? Yes, sir.
The payment integration is semi-integrated.
It's processor agnostic.
You can do it. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, everybody, thank you. Come see us.
Down there, the level 1, the